Hello, everyone. This is Grace from Kapwing
And this is Jack from Kapwing. I'm stealing your gig.
Whoa! Yes, we have a crossover episode today. Both the Kapwing creators in the house. It's always a good time. We are here today because obviously Jack has entered the Kapwing sphere and we want to welcome him onto the channel. We want to get to know him more and we want you to get to know him more.
Jack has entered the chat.
Yes, for real. Jack is a creator himself even before Kapwing, and I think that's really awesome. So we're gonna just have some fun, discuss being a creator in the world today, what a modern creator is. How did you start getting into being a creator? I feel like people have very different journeys, and yeah, you said you're like a YouTuber, but what does that even mean? But you're also on like TikTok and obviously all these like podcast places. How did you get into all this?
Like, I watched this YouTuber when I was like 14. She was doing like a stop motion like competition or something. And I was like, oh, I'm totally gonna do that and I'm gonna win, by the way. And so I entered it, and actually my first YouTube channel was with my best friend at the time, and we called ourselves The Nerdy Hipsters, which is like the most cringe name of all time. And then after we lost the stop motion contest, I was like, what? I mean, but hey, it kept me going, propelled me further. I mean, I was making videos on like the flip video camera. Do you remember those?
Yeah. Wow.
Just kept making more videos, and then like Hannah and I split, and I just kind of took over the channel. It was a major drama.
Oh, friendship things? Oh, okay.
No. I'm kind of kidding. Well, it was kind of a drama for like when you're 14. But not anymore. I took a gap year after my freshman year of college to like move to LA and be a YouTuber. And it like was kind of working actually, but I like just, I don't know, like had a mental breakdown. You know, I feel like all YouTubers, we've all had our mental breakdowns. And then, finished college, and then YouTube has sort of wavered in my life since then, and I've since moved to the medium of the podcast. So, yeah. It's a long story. I mean, you know, that's the short version of like 10 years, but
Yeah, so you've really been doing this from all the way at the beginning of almost the beginning of your life. What feels like the beginning.
I came out of the womb with a camera.
Yeah, you're like taking selfies, selfie stick mode. How has your content changed? I feel like I guess you still have the channel that is up in the world. That doesn't sound like it was the original one though.
So at first I started making videos that were like just challenge videos. I think that's like a good place to start for everyone. And then after that I started getting into more like skits. That are like, but like with all like a one-man show skits sort of thing where I was playing all the characters. They weren't that funny.
Were you also on like Vine and all that, those other apps with that kind of stuff?
Honestly, like I don't know why, but I was like a YouTube purist. I like back in the day, I don't remember if you remember this, but it was like Vine versus YouTube, and you had to like pick a side almost.
Yeah.
And I was very pro YouTube. And then I just kind of fell off. Took like a year break. Went to college. Took like another 7-month break. And then once I came back to LA to like be a YouTuber, I was doing vlogs, like twice weekly vlogs. And then I was like, I'm sharing too much of my life online. And then I switched channels. Then started making videos that are like, they were like full of zooms, ins and outs, and like sound effects and like weird things. And then I got bored of that. And then I did some exploration travel YouTube when I moved to New York. And now I'm sort of on another hiatus again. I've dabbled in a lot of different content subject matters.
Yeah, I feel like it's especially hard when it's like you're doing videos about you as a person, but that's just so tied to, you know, it's like all these analytics and things. We've talked about this before. All these analytics, but it's actually tied to you as a person as opposed to just like a business or a brand, and that can hurt as well as be really rewarding.
Oh, yes, Grace. Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of the reason why I've had to stop and start so many times is like I totally got sucked in to like truly not to bring down the mood, but like my worth being like, oh, I got, when a video does really well, like I'm like completely on a high. And then like if a video does poorly, then I'm like, you are
Yeah.
a word that I won't use on this channel. You suck. Like, and that sucks to like have your self-esteem be based on what like other people think of you, and also not even what other people think of you, but like what an algorithm does
Yeah.
with you. So, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, though, what do you feel like was the motivating factor? I think obviously being a YouTuber can be hard, but people still do it, and it's like a great way to, spread messages, and people use it as their careers. And what was that for you, do you think?
I really like the reaction. I really like talking to people online. Like, I really like hearing what people have to say. So obviously there's that. There's also, I think, a fondness that comes with just like sort of my nostalgia at this point for YouTube, because I've made so many of my closest friends through the internet at this point, and like you would have called them at the time like internet friends, but now they're just like my real life friends. So I think there's that like nostalgia of like, oh, I really met like a great community of people. It's something that has brought me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
I like being in charge of like the creative process from start to beginning on something, where like in a job that's maybe more structured, like you have to report to someone, or you have to do things that other people want you to do, and like there's something freeing about just being able to start to finish put out whatever you want. So
Yeah, it's definitely empowering. Like before YouTube was really a thing, to make a video, it's like you had to have a film degree, fancy cameras, equipment, like be in like Paramount Studios or somewhere in Hollywood. And now it's like, I had the same experience when I was in 10th grade. I literally just hit record and was like, showing some cool things. And then that's it gets projected out to lots of people out there.
Yeah. And what did you make of that? Like, do you still make content yourself, not for Kapwing?
Not really. I will say, yeah, I feel like it did take a toll in the same way that you were talking about, just like putting something like, I started it because it was just fun and I liked sharing my ideas, and it was just easy to do. It was something new, I was getting into. I think I didn't have any expectations for it, essentially. And I think once you start making those videos, it can be really easy to fall into the trap of like, oh, if this video doesn't do amazing, then I'm a failure. Like, then I'm just going to stop doing that. I think I got really bogged down in that. I will say I do make videos just on my own for my own personal viewing. I think that's like,
really?
Yeah, just like not like any YouTube quality or like super fancy things, but just like montages or like time lapses, that kind of thing. That I like it as a way to document life in addition to spread messages. And I think I think I still need to get used to the whole having other people view it and judge me, and so
yeah,
my channel's still out there. But
YouTube scavenger hunt to find Grace's channel.
I don't think it's that hard to find, but yeah, I will say it's been inactive for a while. I think it's also interesting because a lot of people, like probably you and me included, like started just doing videos because it was fun and, make friends and things like that. But obviously here we are both making videos professionally for a brand.
Professionals? Are we professionals? I don't feel professional.
I know, exactly. But it's like we're being paid to make videos and like talk to you all out there and just do this. I guess, it's an interesting world we live in now. What do you think? You always wanted to do something like this for a company, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the longest time, when I was not so jaded, like I was like, I want to be a YouTuber and like I want to like be like, be my own YouTuber. But then as we've spoken about, like there are its own difficulties with that. And so once I've sort of given up that, it's not even like giving up a dream. Like I just felt like it no longer suited me and like what I wanted anymore.
Right.
But I feel like with something like this, like Kapwing, it's easier not to take things so personally. It's easier to have that camaraderie between like, even like you and I, like we, when something good happens, like we will, sort of share the joy. But when something like, if it starts not being so good, it's not like it's all on you, and it's not like you're like a bad person. And it's also not necessarily like completely personality driven videos. So like, it doesn't relate to like, you suck as a person. Yeah. Coming out of college, I just graduated in December, and I don't know, during the pandemic, like trying to find a job was really difficult. And my parents kept being like, oh, you should just like take anything. Cause I had some other places that I like probably definitely could have taken that I had like interned at before, but they were much less creative. And I was like, I think there is something for me. Like, I think there is something that will make use of my skills and give me what I want. And then I found Kapwing, and I was like, when I saw it, I was like, this is perfect. And then I didn't hear from Kapwing for a month, and then like out of nowhere got the interview. And then I was like, I don't know, I was pretty confident. Like once that happened, I was like, okay, we both see the same thing. So yeah, it was a great, like, I'm very humbled to be here. And grateful.
I didn't really expect to be in like doing videos necessarily. I'm more interested in like the general communication, like spreading information and inspiring people. And I think that's like something I found in this is like video, even though social media can be ups and downs and really tumultuous sometimes, at the end of the day, for me, it's like such a good way to get people to like united and help them. Just like empowering others through them also being creators themselves. That's like really rewarding.
I mean, there's nothing better than an online community of modern creators.
Yeah.
Am I
right? Speaking of online communities, I wanted to go over to hearing about your podcast, because that's insane. Obviously, like, that takes a while to grow, and it seems like you guys have really built it up. So how is that story go?
Yeah, that story. Okay, well, I was with my best friend Amy. We were on our way to Palm Springs with her cousin who had just flown in from like Australia or something, and who had just broken up with her boyfriend. Shout out to Amber. And Amber, or I shouldn't say she had broken up with her boyfriend. I should say that she got broken up with. And they had been together for a long time, and it was like really messy. And she was having a breakdown in my car while I was driving us to Palm Springs. And then so there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of like, she even threw up on the side of the road at an In-N-Out. Like,
no.
She was going through it. And throughout, we were like putting on meditations, and we were listening to fun like breakup music. And we're giving her like good advice, and then that wouldn't work, so we give her like really bad advice. And then at the end, she was a little bit better, and she was just happier, and she was like, you guys give great advice, and she was like, actually, you don't give great advice, but you guys are at least like funny about it. And then she was like, you guys should start a podcast, and then we were like, okay. So then pitched our show to this studio, and the original title that we were gonna do, because we're both gay, spoiler alert, if you hadn't figured it out. Yeah. Spoiler alert, we're both gay, and we had initially pinned the show as being called, I don't think I can say it because it has a curse word in it, but I'll try it. Okay, it was like dating straight freaking gay, but not that.
Okay. That's a good name.
Yeah, because it was all about, the initial plan was to have on all straight guests to like figure out the straight agenda. And then we just like ran out of straight people to have on the show. Like we didn't know enough, because I don't know, we know mostly gay people.
That's so good.
Yeah, so then it turned into just dating straight, and then the concept was Jack and Amy will always give it to you straight. And so it's a dating show, dating comedy. And yeah, we were lucky enough that the studio, after giving us like 6 test episodes, it did really well. And we're still going strong.
Yeah, nice.
2 years later.
Wow, yeah, 2 years. That is quite a while. I feel like especially now in the podcast market, I guess it's especially over COVID. I feel like people, all of them were just like, yeah, let's do a podcast. All we need to do is like record us talking, right? I mean, it's kind of true,
Yeah.
but yeah, have you found like challenges in that sense, like distinguishing yourself from the rest?
Oh yeah. I mean, we were lucky that we had like built-in audiences because we were both on YouTube. Well, you just have to be so consistent. Like, you know, with YouTube, like I tried to post weekly or whatever, but like with podcasting, it really matters because you're often getting your advertisements like weeks or months ahead. So you like have to have an episode prepared. Whereas with YouTube, like you can usually kind of skip a week because you're usually not sponsored in every single episode.
Right.
And so just like having that content, like, I don't know, having a guest and like editing it and then getting the promos ready. Like it's really fast paced environment. And you're creating a lot of content. So that's the difficulty, number one. Number two, yeah, distinguishing yourself is really difficult. Like our goal would be to create like the gay podcast. Like if you think of a gay podcast, like you'd think of Dating Straight. To get there, you know, it's a hard sell. You know, any podcast is a hard sell because number one, there's like no algorithm on podcast apps.
I mean, that though you say like there's no algorithm on podcasting and it's different from YouTube, but you guys put your podcast on YouTube, right?
Yeah. We do kind of cheat.
Was that the thought from the start, or how did that decision?
Yeah.
How was that decision
pretty
made?
Much. I mean, the thought from the start was we are on YouTube, so our viewers are on YouTube. Let's get them watching immediately. We've had like a much more success posting on YouTube than on audio apps, frankly. We had one episode that has gotten like almost, I think, like 250,000 views on YouTube.
Nice.
But like on the podcast app, it's like nowhere near that. Yeah, the algorithm really matters. And that was also because of TikTok as well, because we've recently started posting like the best moments on TikTok. And like some of our TikToks have gotten, I think, like over 4 million views.
Damn. Yeah.
So like, just because the podcast app, you just have to be like scrappy a little bit, like repurpose your content everywhere and anywhere that you can and hope that it sticks somewhere. I think if we never posted on YouTube and we never posted on TikTok, we would not be making any money on a podcast.
Well, it's interesting now. I mean, previously you said like, you know, it used to be Vine versus YouTube. And it was like, you know, people are only on one thing or the other. Now I feel like all the old Viners are on YouTube. And it feels like everyone has to be on every platform. Like, you know, you have a podcast, but it's on YouTube, and then you're posting clips on TikTok, and like there's probably a Twitter and Instagram, I'm assuming, or...
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's like the epitome of a modern creator to me. Do you think that creators can be successful just on one platform?
I mean, anything is possible, but as successful, no. Like, I don't think you'd be as successful as if you go everywhere. But I also understand, you know, our resources, our energy is finite. Like, you know, to be posting on TikTok every day and on YouTube once a week and on Instagram every other day and tweeting every day and whatever.
God.
It is a lot of work. So I think you also have to pick your battles somewhat and like just stretch your energy where you think it's most worth it. So for us, for podcasting, like, we've given up on the Twitter. We barely ever post on Instagram anymore. We post on like our personal Instagrams now, but like we don't keep up with like podcast Instagram too much. And we've just really started directing our energy towards TikTok and YouTube, which has been what has been the most successful. So like, and I think that's okay. And, you know, like maybe as you get bigger, then you can like hire someone to help you out. But, you know, don't like... Don't hurt yourself trying to be everywhere all at one time.
I think another big question that I was interested in hearing about is like the monetization for these things. So obviously like a podcast is probably monetized as the audio, but then do you guys also monetize your YouTube and TikTok?
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
podcasting, I'll be honest, it's very lucrative.
Dang.
So
Listen up.
yes, if you can get ads in every episode
Mm-hmm.
and weeks and months ahead, like it's much more stable than YouTube is in terms of money. Per 1,000 listens on podcast, you get more money than per 1,000 views on YouTube because like when you're saying in your own words like you do in podcasting, it's more valuable. And like people, there's like studies that show that like people who listen to long form content are more receptive to advertisements than like
Interesting.
shorter form content. And you can also put more ads in the podcast. So like in our podcast, you could conceivably put up to like 5 or 6 ads. We, you know,
Wow.
rarely ever get that many ads because
Yeah.
we're not like that famous or whatever. But yeah, you can do that. And then also, yeah, you put it on YouTube and you, you know, get AdSense from that. You get the TikTok like ads, which frankly are not, you don't make much money on there. And then also like we have a Patreon as well. So we monetize that. You can make merch, of course.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting now because obviously, like, you can reach different numbers of people on different platforms. So it feels like TikTok, you know, you can get I feel like I've heard this from a lot of different people. You can get millions of views in the span of like not much time, whereas they'd never have reached that many people on like YouTube. So it feels like TikTok, you know, you can get a ton of impressions, but then the value of each of those impressions is less. Versus
Totally.
podcasting, you don't get like I feel like it's like TikTok, YouTube, then podcasts maybe, and obviously the other things are in there somewhere. Where you don't get that many views, but you get a lot more value for each view.
You get a ton of value. Also because I don't think like you could watch a bunch of YouTubers, but you can't really listen to tons of podcasts. You have to be more selective. So like when you hear your favorite podcaster promoting something, like you're more likely to sort of trust them because you have that rapport with them, or at least like you feel like you do. So yes, if you can make a good podcast, highly recommend it.
Obviously, you have a lot of experience with YouTube. How did you grow your YouTube channels? What are your biggest tips for that?
Posting consistently is everything. Posting a video for consistency as well, but not for everyone else, but for you, like posting a video that you would want to watch, to keep yourself in the right headspace to want to create videos. Yeah, watch time, you know, watch time's the new thing. Like if you can make a longer video and keep people watching, do it, but don't sacrifice like quality for length. In my opinion, to make that happen, a narrative is always best. If you can tell a story in a video from start to finish, people are more likely to want to hear the end of the story. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be like a Tana Mojo like story time video, but like if you can
Wait, that's how you say her name?
well, how would you say it?
Tana
Mongo?
Mongo? I was like, I know that's definitely not right, but I was like, how else do you wow, that was an epiphany. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. Whoa.
Create a storyline somehow, even if you're not telling a story. Make people feel like they're watching a movie or something. Easier said than done, like we've said, but try not to fall into the numbers, because like I think numbers on YouTube, they are there to like make people successful because like you can like adapt to the numbers, but ultimately like I think they cause like existential dread and then makes you not want to post. So I think it's actually more helpful to sometimes not look. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, those are some valuable 2 cents.
I have exactly 2.
Like, I feel like so many people out there want to be creators and they want to be these YouTube famous people, but it's not always ups. It's a lot of other stuff in there, and
Yeah.
breaks the illusion of it.
I'm not telling anyone don't do it, but it's difficult. You know, being your own boss is difficult for anything. And, you know, losing your like sort of sense of privacy, that can be difficult as well. And there's a lot of difficult things about being an online creator, but it's also really rewarding. And it's not for everyone, but it is for a lot of people as well. So, but I think just going into it with a clear mind and know what you're possibly getting yourself into, and the risks and rewards.
Yeah. I feel like it's also just, you know, if it's so easy to get into that you don't have to decide right now if you want to be a 10 million subscriber like YouTuber. You can just get started, and if you don't like it at some point, yeah, don't keep doing it.
It's really rewarding to be a creative in any field. I feel like what a privilege to be able to just like be creative and like make a living from that. Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Art.
We're lucky. We're creating art and we're lucky.
And we get to talk to all these different people. That's pretty lit.
True.
I'm a fan.
Pretty lit. Make sure to, by the way, check out the Kapwing TikTok channel. It'll be linked in the description. I'm taking over and I'm taking the world by storm. So, yeah, we've already had some fun videos up there. So come say hey.
Yeah, Jack's pioneering and doing it real well.
Thanks.
Okay, y'all. Subscribe if you haven't. Gotta say that at least once in the video. And we will see you next time.
Peace.